Hello everyone, welcome to our channel, your trusted source for global defense updates, geopolitical developments, and breaking news from around the world. Today's story is making shockwaves across the Middle East and beyond. Iran has issued a stern and chilling warning, declaring that massive retaliation is coming if either the United States or Israel dares to launch any kind of military strike against its territory. This statement has ignited serious concern in global capitals and pushed regional tensions closer than ever to a potential direct confrontation. Let's break down what's happening, why this warning matters, and how it could reshape the entire security landscape of the Middle East. In a televised statement earlier today, senior Iranian officials, including top Revolutionary Guard commanders, warned that Iran's response to any attack from Israel or the United States would be unprecedented in scale and scope. Iranian state media quoted a top IRGC spokesperson saying, "Greater than if our enemies commit even the slightest aggression, the response will be massive, coordinated, and devastating. No base, no ship, no target linked to Israel or the United States in the region will be safe." This warning follows weeks of escalating rhetoric between Iran, Israel, and the U.S., as military exercises, naval deployments, and covert strikes have increased across the region. Sources close to Tehran's leadership claim that Iran's missile and drone forces have been placed on full operational readiness. Intelligence reports suggest that Iran has moved several long-range ballistic missiles, including the Khorramshahr 4 and Sejjal missiles, to underground silos and mobile launchers across the country. So, what triggered this latest confrontation? It all started with growing fears that Israel, backed by U.S. intelligence support, may be preparing for preemptive strikes on Iranian military infrastructure, particularly nuclear sites and missile production facilities. Just last week, several explosions were reported near Isfahan, where Iran's nuclear facilities are located. Iranian authorities called it a technical malfunction, but analysts believe it may have been a covert Israeli cyber or drone operation. Meanwhile, the United States has recently increased its military presence in the Persian Gulf. Two aircraft carriers, the USS Eisenhower and the USS Roosevelt, are now operating near Iranian waters, accompanied by destroyers and support ships equipped with advanced missile defense systems. The Pentagon insists the deployment is defensive, but Tehran views it as an open provocation. Iran's defense minister responded by saying, "Greater than we do not seek war, but we will not tolerate threats at our doorstep. Any strike on Iran will trigger a regional war that the aggressors cannot control." To understand how serious this warning is, we need to look at the regional context. The Middle East is already a powder keg with multiple flashpoints ready to ignite. In Lebanon, Hezbollah, Iran's most powerful regional ally, has already said it will launch thousands of rockets at Israel if Iran is attacked. In Yemen, the Iran-backed Houthis have continued targeting Red Sea shipping routes, directly threatening U.S. and Israeli-linked vessels. In Syria and Iraq, pro-Iran militias have been attacking American bases using drones and rockets. In other words, if conflict breaks out, it won't be limited to Iran itself. It could rapidly evolve into a multi-front regional war, pulling in Lebanon, Iraq, Syria, and Yemen. Analysts warn that such a war could close the Strait of Hormuz, one of the most vital oil transit routes in the world, which could cause global oil prices to skyrocket and send economic shockwaves worldwide. Now, what does massive retaliation actually mean in military terms? Iran's warning isn't just rhetoric. The country has been quietly building one of the most extensive missile and drone arsenals in the region. Iran possesses missiles capable of striking targets over 2,000 kilometers away. The Khorramshahr, Sejjal, and Ahmad missiles can reach Israel, U.S. bases in the Gulf, and even parts of southern Europe. The Somer and Pave cruise missiles can travel at low altitude, evading radar systems. Iran's drones, especially the Shahed 136A, have already proven their effectiveness in Ukraine and the Middle East. Iran's Revolutionary Guard Navy specializes in asymmetric warfare, using small fast boats, sea mines, and anti-ship missiles to target U.S. or allied vessels in the Persian Gulf. Tehran has also heavily invested in cyber capabilities, capable of targeting infrastructure, energy systems, and communications of its adversaries. Put together, Iran's threat of massive retaliation means the US and Israel would face attacks from multiple directions: land, air, sea, and even cyberspace. So how have Washington and Tel Aviv reacted? In the United States, the White House has not yet officially responded to Iran's warning, but Pentagon officials have confirmed that all U.S. forces in the region are on high alert. A senior U.S. defense official told reporters, "We are taking Iran's threats seriously. Our message remains clear: any attack on U.S. forces or interests will be met with decisive force." Meanwhile, Israel's prime minister delivered a fiery speech in Jerusalem, stating that, Israel will not be intimidated by threats. "We will do whatever is necessary to defend our nation and ensure Iran never acquires nuclear weapons." Israel's Iron Dome and David Sling missile defense systems are on full readiness, and the Israeli Air Force has reportedly conducted mock bombing drills simulating long-range strikes on Iranian targets. At the same time, diplomatic channels are heating up. European countries, along with Russia and China, are urging restraint. Beijing has even offered to mediate between Tehran and Washington, warning that a new Middle East war would be catastrophic for global stability. One major concern behind this rising tension is Iran's nuclear program. According to the latest International Atomic Energy Agency, IAEA, reports, Iran now possesses uranium enriched up to 60% purity, dangerously close to weapons-grade levels. Western intelligence believes Tehran could assemble a nuclear weapon within months if it decided to cross that line. Iran denies these claims, insisting its nuclear program is purely peaceful, but its rapid progress has alarmed both Israel and the U.S. This fear is what's driving much of the current standoff. Israel has repeatedly stated it will never allow Iran to become a nuclear power, even if it means launching a preemptive strike. And that's the scenario Iran is now preparing to counter with its massive retaliation doctrine. Experts around the world are warning that the situation could spiral out of control. Former U.S. diplomat Richard Haass said, "We are entering one of the most dangerous moments in Middle East geopolitics in over a decade. Miscalculation or a single misstep could lead to full-scale war." Middle East analysts note that both sides are locked in a dangerous cycle of deterrence, each trying to project strength without appearing weak. But history shows that such posturing often leads to unintended escalation. In 2020, the U.S. assassination of Iranian General Qasem Soleimani almost triggered open war. Iran's missile strikes on U.S. bases in Iraq that followed were a taste of what retaliation could look like, and Tehran's capabilities have only grown since then. If the current situation explodes into open conflict, the consequences will be felt far beyond the Middle East. Any Iranian attempt to close the Strait of Hormuz, through which nearly 20% of the world's oil passes, could cause prices to surge overnight. Global markets would tumble, and shipping insurance rates across the Red Sea and Arabian Gulf could skyrocket. Regional wars displace millions, and nations like Lebanon, Iraq, and Syria are already struggling with economic collapse. The United States would face immense pressure to either escalate or withdraw, while global powers like China and Russia could exploit the crisis to expand their influence. At this stage, all eyes are on Washington and Tel Aviv. Will they risk a strike that could ignite a regional firestorm, or will back-channel diplomacy pull everyone back from the brink? This confrontation is not just about Iran's missiles or nuclear program, it's about power, deterrence, and control in one of the world's most strategic regions. For decades, Iran has sought to project itself as the leading power of the Islamic world, resisting Western and Israeli dominance. The United States and Israel, meanwhile, have worked tirelessly to contain that ambition through sanctions, covert operations, and military alliances. Now, both sides are reaching the limits of their patience. The next few days, or even hours, could determine whether this crisis remains a war of words or escalates into an all-out regional conflict. So, where does this leave us? Iran's warning of massive retaliation is not an empty threat, it's a message directed at both Israel and the United States, and perhaps the world, that Iran is ready to defend itself with everything it has. But history also teaches us that once such threats are made publicly, backing down becomes politically difficult. That's what makes this moment so dangerous. The Middle East has seen decades of conflict, proxy wars, and failed peace talks. But this confrontation fueled by technology, ideology, and nuclear fears could redefine the region's future. For now, the world watches hoping that diplomacy prevails before war does. Thank you for watching. If you found this video informative, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more real-time updates and analysis on global conflicts and security affairs. This is Combat Intel Media, bringing you the stories that matter with clarity, context, and courage. Stay alert, stay informed, and we'll see you in the next video.